Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of Let's Play Castlevania Adventure. I hate this stage. And I really do. I despise this stage with all of my being. This is a very cheaty stage. Like, I swear the stage was made just so they could bring out the flaws in the game against you. This is a very compact stage, very cramped. Lots of small corridors, cramped areas, lots of unpredictable enemies. It's a beast, that's for sure. It's not. I don't think it's the hardest level in the game in terms of how many times you'll die your first time. I just think it's pretty hard in terms of what you can reasonably dodge. This upper path is nice because it has 2 hearts to refill our life. And more importantly, we get to avoid the scythe thrower down there. Fighting him in that really cramped corridor is not something I want to be doing. And I will take my first hit because the game's hit detection is terrible. And sure, Christopher will stop jumping in mid-jump because the jump mechanics are broken. That's fine. That's cool. I expect that. Again, this is, let me get here first. That first candle has a power-up for the whip in it, but you're pretty much dead if you try to go for it. This jump is hard enough anyway. But, I love this game. It's a fun game. It's a good game. It's a decent Castlevania title. But it's one where its own flaws bring it down. I mean, I know it's basically a launch title for the Game Boy, and no one really knew anything about the hardware at the time, and that's fine. But the jumping in this game is so broken. The hit detection is so broken. And in stages, like, this is the only stage where it's really, really, really bad. The other stages in the game, you get by. But this stage, it really brings those flaws into attention. And if you hadn't noticed them in the first stage, you're not going to be able to stop noticing them in this stage. With the eyeballs here, whip them when they're behind you. That way you can make a hole so another eyeball can't pop up on you. I don't like whipping them when they're in front of me because they'll explode and make a hole in front of you. And I swear 9 times out of 10, Christopher finds a way to jump into that hole. I mean, as long as you're just kind of patient on this one. I mean, be willing to take a hit or two. There are more life ups in this stage. So if you got to take a hit, like right here, that's fine. In fact, there's a life up right here, I think. Yep. Alright, now this next part is kind of... Okay, I forgot this part. That jump is ridiculously hard. I think I've made it like once in 30 attempts. Let me give it a quick college effort here. Oh, come... I hate you, game. That's a 1-up up there. That jump is absurd. Alright, now this part is very important. You want to go right, like I did. And right here you want to go right. And then down here you want to go left. If you go right, you're screwing yourself. You're going to end up in a giant dead end. And I don't know if there's a way out of it, but I have never found one. And by dead end, I don't mean like you scroll for a couple seconds off screen and you're like, hey, there's no way out. I mean, you're going to be walking into the next area for like another 3 minutes before you finally hit a dead end and you're like, what's going on here? See, I hate those enemies here, and these little cramped areas make those things so hard to dodge. Now you got to be a little aggressive with this guy. If his scythe scrolls off screen, it won't come back. Use that to your advantage. Try very hard to keep the chain whip for the boss. It'll take 3 shots with the chain whip, 5 to kill those guys. Now this boss is either a joke or the most frustrating thing you will ever experience. First thing you want to do is jump right about here. And okay, I'm probably going to fail already. Enemies breaking their patterns again. Now what you can do with these middle 2 holes, especially with the chain whip, is just whip them as soon as they appear. I just got a free guy for hitting 10,000 points. But since the leather whip is so short, that middle hole I have to be really close in order to actually whip the guy. Now the far right hole is what we're worrying about, because he's breaking his pattern again. That's That's what you're going to hear me yelling about in this fight, is that guy in the right hole breaking his pattern every time. Because that time he followed it, and guess what? I wasn't in position to take advantage. I despise this fight. When everything goes well for you, it's amazing. But when that dude in the right's not being cooperative, this fight can be so frustrating. Because if this fight starts to get out of control, you're dead. I mean, it's seriously, did that just happen? Thank you, God. If you basically, these enemies are kind of on a timer, so if you let one jump around for too long, then another one's gonna come out, and once you start getting multiples of them, the battle's pretty much over. But I mean, you're going to take so many hits trying to wrangle them on. You're going to lose any power-ups you have. I mean, you got to be really aggressive. Stand there like I was. That's pretty much the most advantageous spot. If you have the chain whip, it's so much easier because you don't have to move at all to hit the enemies in the two center holes there. And you can just crouch and whip the top hole guy when he jumps out. And the bottom right hole guy, as long as he's cooperating, he should do 2 short jumps when he emerges and jump right into your whip range. But he just wasn't following his pattern there for me. Okay, well, the next video I'll be in a better mood since I, didn't... this stage I can do pretty easily, whereas the last one I did like 12 test runs that all ended horribly. So, I'll see you next time in part 3 when we take on my favorite stage. Most people's least favorite, but I'm weird, so it's my favorite stage. And thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. And I will see you in part 3.